Welcome back, everyone. We're gonna keep playing this game, talk about some more Ulysses S. Grant. Let's get it. I still need a lot of money. And I'm gonna need to get ammunition. Whoa. Did I miss it? Oh, here we go. Alright, first we'll go this way. Okay, so we're going to talk about Ulysses S. Grant still. Pretty much, well, it's very complicated because ultimately what ends up happening is he ends up getting the leadership of the entire Union Army. Once McClellan basically gets kicked out, and after Abraham Lincoln just basically decides it's going to be him. He sees him as the best opportunity. Wins a bunch more battles. Basically invades the South after some time. And basically just wins the war, long story short. It's very complicated to even talk about because I need to actually get into the entirety of the Civil War, I think, in order to properly be able to talk about it. Boom. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, look at all that money. Gotta move this real quick. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what happens to Ulysses S. Grant after the Civil War? A lot of things happen to Ulysses S. Grant after the Civil War. More so specifically, I would say, ah, crap. Damn it. Oh, it's disappointing. Oh, crap. I'm cutting it real close. Okay. I really need to upgrade everything. Oh, this is not good, people. First and foremost, though, Ulysses S. Grant has a very close relationship with Abraham Lincoln, at least relatively speaking. I think it's more adoration on Lincoln's part and respectability, I guess you could argue, than actual like friendship. I think they both just saw what they were doing as a similar common cause and necessary for the preservation of the Union, and just boil it down to that. Famously, Lincoln, during the war, gave and bought there was a platinum bolt back there, but I already got it in my first playthrough. But Lincoln famously bought Grant like a bunch of whiskey during the time of the Civil War, as thanks and adoration for the good that he was doing. Son of a gun. Crap. Beautiful. So far, I'm sucking this playthrough. What's the purpose of this? Just explore? Ugh, okay. Well, I explored. But generally speaking, Grant leads the army, becomes the victor in the South at Appomattox Courthouse. It's pretty clear in the history books and just what we know that Grant wasn't very fond of Lee during most of the war for obvious reasons, but slowly started changing his tune, especially during the invasion of the South, and seeing a lot of the destruction that was going on in the South, particularly with Mr. William Tecumseh Sherman, particularly in Georgia, obviously. When Lee surrenders, I think people had a different perspective of how it was going to go, but ultimately Grant, at least historically, tends to be much more positive, and especially positive in the sense that we need to grow as a people and as a society, and that... Oh, wait. Do I have it? Oh, crap. Oh, crap. Crap, I forgot to do that part. Oh, this is embarrassing. Sorry, I gotta leave this planet and then go back because I straight up forgot to get the temperature gun. This is embarrassing. Yep, I forgot to get the temperature gun. I'm sorry, guys. Now, post-war though, when Lee leaves, the Union troops are celebrating. Grant's like, "Calm yourselves, men. This isn't a time to cheer. It's a time to rebuild and make things new." Basically, Grant. I think Grant was deeply affected by the entirety of the war, and fairly so. He lost a lot of men, sent a lot of men to their deaths. The war, unfortunately for Grant, is gonna haunt him for basically the rest of his life. And I think people do need to understand and recognize that, even if you're like a garbage president or, there are things in your history that make you seem very less trustworthy. That the things that Grant went through, the things that he had to do, or he believed he had to do, justifiable or not, it's not like it doesn't take a toll on you. It takes a heavy toll on you. I think at the very least we do need to recognize and remember that, fairly or unfairly, that it's never easy to do the things that he was forced to do. The lives of the men that would never have a family, that would never live a prosperous life, that would never be able to do the things that, could even change the country. The destinies of a lot of people, unfortunately, were taken away, and I think Grant understood that far better than anyone, and I think he was very deeply disturbed pretty much until the rest of his life, to the end of his life. So I give him some benefit of the doubt, not entirely all the benefit of the doubt, but enough to, at the very least, have an understandable perspective and point of view to where I could, if not excuse it, understand his actions, his beliefs, and a lot of the things that he ultimately ended up doing post-presidency, or post-presidency, during his presidency, and post-Civil War. Like, he's by no means a perfect human being, but he's also someone that, whoa. I just messed up. Oh crap, I think I just might have messed up. Very lucky guy. Very, very lucky. So now what happens post-Civil War? Well, Grant's still the leader of the Union Army. He tries to work with Andrew Johnson. They get along pretty well, for the most part. Not entirely great, but for at least the first 2 or 3 years of his presidency, Grant and Andrew Johnson do very well together. And then there's the break, unfortunately, that Andrew Johnson has with pretty much every single Republican because of the disagreements of how to go about doing it, the Southern Reconstruction. I think that's ultimately what separates the two of them. I don't trust this guy. But ultimately, that's the big break between the two. Grant was someone who believed that the South was, at this time, currently incapable of self-governing, which leads to a lot of issues between Johnson, Grant, and Republicans, obviously, and felt that there needed to be a military presence in the South to keep calm and control things, which leads some difficulties in the South. Grant's not very popular in the South, which is funny because he ends up doing like a southern tour of all the places that he basically destroyed, more or less. That's probably not fair to say for Grant, but I think it's also very fair to say that, when he left the South, it was destroyed and obviously needed to be rebuilt, both economically, structurally, the trust within the people in the South, and he felt that was the best course of action. Andrew Johnson thought, in Andrew Johnson's defense, hey, I don't think, having troops down there basically acting like a military power and having them basically just be like a conquered people is the best situation for them, especially for how proud the Southern people are. And I find it very fascinating how, because on one hand you can understand Andrew Johnson's perspective, but I also I can understand where Grant's coming from, because he's of the probably mindset and position of, hey, we just went to war with these people, and it's gonna look really bad, and especially in the South, but don't get me wrong. But we're not gonna have things go back to the way they were, because I don't want to have to fight another freaking war in pursuit of trying to give them what they want in the South, specifically. And excuse me, got like stomach bubbles. And I'm not gonna have more lives lost because of that. And he was very strongly of that opinion, which Republicans were also as well. So when he becomes president, they don't really have to twist his arm all that well and all that much. So when Andrew Johnson leaves, there's speculation. There's a lot of people that want Grant to become the president. Ultimately, he ends up just accepting the nomination in 1868 to become the next president. All the while, Andrew Johnson's getting impeached, which I don't think he really believed in. I think he probably thought like, okay, you guys are going a little far with this. He's always calm. I think the biggest problem with Ulysses S. Grant, if anything, was that he was more or less apolitical on most things, and wasn't very strongly in favor of one thing over the other, which some people will probably find reassuring in a lot of ways. I tend to look at it as a difficult thing, because I don't think people can actually read who you are as a person or believe that you believe in anything, really. I guess I'm someone who would rather have someone who believes strongly in one thing, know what they're all about, or have a good idea of what they're all about, and, make a much better concerted opinion of that particular person, rather than someone who's just like, oh, we're just gonna do things, and, because it's not like George Washington was apolitical. I mean, he had fundamental beliefs that he was very strongly about, and understood what those beliefs were, which is why the Federalists as a party, when they first came out, were so strong, was because despite not having any particular leanings, it's abundantly clear that Washington believed in a lot of the ideals of federalism as a Federalist. Ulysses S. Grant, though, he's just like, I don't want to. God. Man, this game's frustrating. Alright, whatever. We're just gonna keep going. Do I go down? Oh, I don't go down there. I go over here. But anyways, he wins the Republican nomination, becomes the second Republican president in the history of this country, wins the election very handedly in 1868-69. Alright. But the big question is, what happens during his presidency, though? That's the question. That's what you all want to know. Can I drop one down there? Let's see. Oh, that's a big bounce. How about there? Explode. Yeah, it's just not happening. Okay. Whee! So long story short, Ulysses S. Grant will serve 2 terms. He wins his re-election bid handily. By the way, for 2 reasons. Big one, I think, was just because in the South, the creation of the Ku Klux Klan is underway, and he ends up being someone who is obviously antagonistic towards them, but they don't get a lot of popularity in the South, I'll put it that way. I think in the South, or in the second election in particular, he goes against like a Democrat governor of New York, Horatio Seymour, I think is his name. I'm just trying to remember all these people's names. That's which is the one thing I'm terrible about. Like, I can tell you everything about a particular person, but I can't remember their freaking name. But, Grant basically has roughly 8 years of his term as president, and, you're probably wondering what he actually does during that time. So first and foremost, he continues his version of the Reconstruction Plan, which involves putting troops on the ground in the South, much to the frustration of many Southerners of that particular time. He ends up going through with it. Most importantly, many of the things that were starting around that time, the railroad constructions he's really big a part of, really attempting to try to stabilize the post-war economy, both in the North and the South. The South was basically, again, economically destroyed. The North pretty much just running on fumes since they had spent so much money trying to financially support the war. It was not a good economic situation, so which a lot of people forget. Grant and the Republicans created what are known as greenbacks, which it's like a, how do I even put it? I consider it like an IOU. It's like the early form of credit, not really backed by anything, which led to a lot of future problems. But basically, Grant and his position was, we're going to create these greenbacks, we're going to create this economic recovery and aid by giving people a bunch of credit so that they can actually purchase things and survive as a people and survive as and build, which led to a lot of criticism, because I think it was really, in particular, supported more so by Northerners than anything else, really, which led to a lot of those things that would eventually happen during the Reconstruction South, carpetbaggers, or whatever they're called, the people who come to the North to build businesses and whatnot, taking advantage of the economically depleted South. And pretty much a lot of things to try to expand America. People forget he's one of the first presidents, really, that's that's kind of become concerned with foreign affairs and how foreign affairs are largely done. I think there's a big fishy here. Can I destroy the fishy? Okay, I think I have to unfreeze it. Now I think I'm like kinda safe. Nope. Oh god. No fishing. I probably don't even need to do that. I just don't want to get eaten by the fish chain and have to redo all this again. That's basically Grant's first term. It's economic recovery, which works well, in fairness. The economy is stimulated, the beginning stages of pretty much everything that you see in terms of the Reconstruction era. The real beginning stages. And then the economic recovery, not to mention the things with the foreign affairs that concluded. Pretty much a lot of things that you see that are happening today, or are a big part of basically what is like the American ideals and ethos. Hawaii basically gets annexed by the United States. There's more support and basically endeavors into what is now Korea. Basically, people venture into Korea and trying to open up the foreign exports there. I think I have some time. Let's see if I can just swindle my way out. Oh God. Nope. Okay. Oh. These robots are greedy. 6,000? Clank got jokes now. Another place I'm supposed to go, or is that it? I straight up forgot. Yep, I did do everything. Okay. Now, a lot of the corruption stuff happens in his first term, but really gets exposed and explodes in his second term. Scandals with, let's say, shady deals, economic deals, his own cabinet just being put under the knife and the wire by the media. Oh, crap. Nope. Damn it. Freaking. Oh, God. This is upsetting. Oh, Lordy. God. This is a terrible start. How am I supposed to get my guns, people? You guys just keep attacking me and not letting me destroy you. Oh, God. Very lucky. But generally during his second term, a lot of the stuff that happens, which I think is actually much more of a reflection of the Republican Party at the time. A lot of people were incredibly dissatisfied with how they were going about doing things, how things had escalated both in the North and the South, and this led to a lot of... Where does this go? I'm really confused. Does that lead anywhere? Aim towards them. Is there more? Or is that it? So, I mean, pretty much every single scandal you can think of, it's just going to happen during Grant's term. This leads to a lot of animosity. Oh, okay. Better stock up. A lot of people are not happy. Oh, I can. But I shouldn't. Okay. And I mean, people are pissed. And every right they should be. You know, the government's clearly faltering. It's not aided by the fact that there's a lot of economic instability, more so than other years at that point. The economy was doing good, but now it's not. It's like a real bad recession going on. I think they called it like the panic of like 1873 or something. Oh, whatever. I don't even care anymore. I want my money, but they clearly don't want to give it to me. Oh, God. Yeah, I desperately need a new suit of armor because this is not sustainable. Holy crap. Oh, don't fall off. Don't be dumb, Ratchet. Oh God, just don't die. Oh no! Holy crap. Okay, that happened. And we venture forth into the great unknown. Now, why does this happen? You're probably asking. One, Republicans at this point are, again, very radical still, a little bit too radical. Grant just was too trusting of a lot of people, really naive in a lot of ways, and in particular, just the naivete of his financial realities. I think made things all the more chaotic. But this led to a lot of economic turmoil, which led to hey, that's not nice. I'm no corporate lackey. Heh, suck it. You lose. Long story short, though, Ulysses S. Grant leaves office as a pretty bad president in a lot of people's eyes. Although, again, I don't think they blame him. I think they blame the Republican Party, which I do find pretty interesting. They just basically say this is on Republicans for what's happening with the country. Because in the next election, it gets very contested with Rutherford B. Hayes, which I'll get to probably in the next part, where it's abundantly clear that they've kind of just had enough, which leads to the first contested, or the second or third contested election, and stolen election in a lot of ways, with Republicans and Democrats, with Rutherford B. Hayes, in which people vote accordingly. I think votes do matter, and I think votes in a particular way, along with the economic, historical realities of the time and the era, matter, which they also call Rutherford B. Hayes your fraudulency. Should also be noted. But Grant doesn't even attempt a third term. Remember, there's no presidential term limits at this time. He's basically just like, I'm done with this. I know I'm not going to get reelected. Let's not go through this again. So he smartly leaves and tries to retire. Now, post-presidency, he ends up doing this world tour around the world. Ends up going to places that he had opened up. Santo Domingo, Korea. Like, he travels the world for the next 3 years with he and his wife, which leads to him getting broke, basically. He ends up coming home, trusting a bunch of different people, tries to open up more post-presidential business ventures, which go bad. Actually gets a lot of money stolen from him, and ends up almost being bankrupt. But two things happen. He's helped by a lot of his friends, a lot of Republicans and rich people, ultimately help him financially get back on his feet. This leads to him even being considered for a third term as president, post Rutherford B. Hayes. Keep in mind at this point, Grant's probably, I want to say, he's probably in his mid to late 60s at this point, but because they don't have any strong candidates at this point, at least one that is consensus strong, they end up bringing forth, at least at the convention, to bring forth Grant's name and just throw it in the ring, which he accepts because he's like, I got no other options. Ends up almost winning, but Republicans are basically like, no, we definitely cannot have this again because we're going to lose. And because I think Republicans at that time were more so of the mindset of, people are going to know what Grant is. Just because his name doesn't mean it's going to be good or strong. That they were like, we need to actually win this. And I think people would much rather have a controversial candidate and individual who doesn't have the track record that Grant does, who's kind of like anonymity or ambiguous, which leads to them choosing James A. Garfield. President I don't tend to like, but I'll get to him when I get to him. But largely he was like the compromise candidate, if there ever was a compromise candidate, and Grant basically just accepts his candidacy and just relinquishes his name. And then famously, before he passes away, which he basically dies, I think, of throat cancer. All the cigars and drinking probably aren't going to help with that. This game's so cheeky. But he basically got a book deal to write his memoirs, which are very striking and I think very revealing. And he only did it really because he wanted to make sure that his wife and his children and grandchildren were set up financially to succeed. Which, I mean, good on him. He's like, I will write this and leave this as the lasting legacy of myself and for my family. So I can empathize and oh my god, you serious? You son of a bitch. Screw yourself, monsters. But that's what he does before he passes away. And he passes away, I think, in the 1880s, I believe. At the sometime in August, I believe. And Grant leaves a very controversial, complicated history. I think a lot of people... people have actually been talking about a lot of these presidents, at least in historical settings and scenarios, and Grant is one that doesn't actually get talked about as much as I think he probably should, because his presidency, for better and worse, ends up becoming the presidency that actually determines a lot of what happens in the next 30, 40 years of the history of this country, which is just not good. So some people will say it was a detriment. It's tough. Because it's not like Grant was completely dumb and didn't know what he was doing. So I don't give him the benefit of the doubt, at least in that sense. I tend to look at it in the sense of... I think he was lied about a lot of things. Too trusting, which I think is very fair. But overall, Grant has just displayed historically, outside of his military expertise, I guess you could just say an ignorance of the world and how things really are in a lot of aspects and a lot of ways, which ultimately hurts him and his legacy and hurts this country in a lot of ways. Like, sure, we have a lot of economic advancement, but I think a lot of what becomes of like big corporations and stuff like that, for instance, and a lot of government overreach starts really in this presidency, and because he specifically allows a lot of the things that happen to happen and occur. And I don't think it's with malicious intent. I just think it's just terrible judgment, I think, more so than anything else. But that's basically Ulysses S. Grant, in a nutshell, with people blabbering on about nonsensical things. Look at this hippie. Okay, we're gonna do this. We are going to stop this part right now. God bless. Hope you guys like and subscribe. We'll continue on with Rutherford B. Hayes in the next part of this Let's Play. Hey, God bless. Y'all rock.